So from now here, for the further few lectures, I will tell you about the most important aspect of the renal physiology, that is the mechanism of a formation of the urine. Okay. Now there are various steps in the process of the urine formation, of which the primary and the first step, it is a glomerular filtration, that I will tell you in detail in this session. Now this glomerular filtration, it is basically the blood that is getting filtered through the glomerulus while passing through the kidneys. And now you are aware about the renal blood flow, that means the blood flow to the kidneys, where the blood will enter the kidney through the renal artery and reaches the glomerulus through the afferent arterioles, where there will be filtration of the blood through the glomerulus, and then the rest of the blood will leave the kidney through the renal vein via the efferent arterioles. Here are the certain learning objectives for this session. So at the end of this session, you must be able to know certain aspects that include the basic steps in the urine formation. Then what is GFR and its normal value. Then the various mechanism of the glomerular filtration, and various factors that can affect the GFR, then the principle of a measurement of the GFR, then certain conditions that may alter the GFR, and finally you must able to understand the mechanism of regulation of the GFR. Now you know that the main function of the kidneys is to clean waste product from the blood, and that is by the formation of the urine and excreting that urine. So first here we will look briefly about the various major steps in the process of the urine formation, and then we will discuss in detail of all these various steps in the further few lectures. So the three major processes that are seen in the urine formation, that includes the glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and the tubular secretion. So these are the three major steps in the process of the urine formation that we have to discuss in detail one by one. So just look at this figure. So this is a renal corpuscle, so where the blood will enter through the afferent arterioles and it will form the capillary network that is known as a glomerulus. And here it is the initial part of the nephron, so that is known as the Bowman's capsule, and these are the tubules of the nephron. So initially the blood, when it is passing through this glomerulus, it will filter into the Bowman's space and then it will pass through the renal tubules. Okay. So first step, it is the glomerular filtration through this glomerulus. Then second step, that is the reabsorption. So many of the substances that are being filtered here, they will be again taken back to the blood via the process of the reabsorption from the various part of the tubules. And at certain level, certain substance from the blood that are secreted into the renal tubules, so they will add up the urine. Okay. So the combination of these three steps, it will form the urine. Okay. So these are the three major and basic steps in the formation of the urine. Okay. So you can tell that the urine excretion, it is the filtration minus reabsorption plus secretion. That means here is the filtration that is poured into the renal tubules, from where there will be a minus of this certain substance that are getting reabsorbed and certain substance that are added in the form of the secretion. So this will make the urine formation. Okay. So here this figure shows the behavior of various substance with regards to its filtration and excretion in the urine. So here the first figure, you can look at that. Let us see this substance that is getting filtered through the glomerulus, but it will be not reabsorbed or secreted. So it will excreted as it is. So यहाँ पे जितना filtration होगा उतना ही उसका urine में excretion होगा, okay? Because यहाँ पे reabsorption or excretion नहीं है. Now second substance is that यहाँ पे substance that is getting filtered through the glomerulus, लेकिन out of that certain part it is again reabsorbed here. Okay? So there is a partial reabsorption. So यहाँ पे उस substance के आप filtration और excretion rate देखोगे तो यहाँ पे filtration से excretion कम होगा, because certain filter substances are getting reabsorbed again. Okay. Third is that there is a filtration and complete reabsorption. So, कुछ substance ऐसे है कि वो filter होंगे glomerulus tubules में जाएंगे, लेकिन सारे के सारे फिर से reabsorb हो जाएंगे. Again they will be come back into the blood. So the excretion of that substance will be nil. Filtration हुआ उसमें से कुछ भी urine में आपको दिखेगा नहीं, like a glucose, amino acid, like that. Another probability is that certain substances that are getting filtered and also secreted. माने कुछ सब्सटेंसेस यहाँ पे फिल्टर होंगे और साथ में उसका कुछ सिक्रेशंस भी होगा। सो उसका जितना फिल्ट्रेशन है उससे ज़्यादा एक्सक्रीशन होगा। ओके, और कुछ सब्सटेंस ऐसे होते हैं जिसका फिल्ट्रेशन भी होगा और रीअब्जॉर्प्शन भी होगा, साथ में सिक्रेशन भी होगा। सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन द सिक्रेशन एंड रीअब्जॉर्प्शन, दैट सब्सटेंस विल बी excreted in the urine. So now coming to the topic of this session, where I will tell you in detail about the first and the primary step of the urine formation, that is the glomerular filtration. So this glomerular filtration, it is the process of ultrafiltration of the plasma from the glomerular capillaries into the Bowman space. So you are aware about this structure now. So it is a renal corpuscle that include the glomerulus and also the Bowman's capsule. Okay. So here the blood that is entering in the glomerulus via the efferent arterioles, it will be filtered through this part into the Bowman's space here, and then it will pass through the renal tubules. Okay. So the process of the filtration of this blood into this renal tubule, it is the glomerular filtration. And another similar term, it is the GFR. So GFR is nothing but the glomerular filtration rate, the rate at which this filtration will seen. So it is the amount of plasma ultrafiltrate formed by both the kidneys in a unit time, and that is taken as a per minute. So per minute कितना plasma यहाँ से filter होगा from the glomerulus into the renal space, that is the glomerular filtration rate. Now, understanding of the process of the glomerular filtration, it involves the review of certain aspects that include the characteristic of the filtration membrane, then composition of the glomerular filtrate, dynamics of the glomerular filtration rate, filtration fraction, factors affecting the glomerular filtration, and finally the measurement of the glomerular filtration. So these are the aspects that we have to look into this session. So that we will discuss one by one now. So starting with the glomerular filtration membrane. So it is the membrane through which the plasma will get filtered at the glomerulus. So जिस membrane से plasma filter होके tubules में जाएगा, that is the glomerular filtration membrane. And this filtration membrane includes the three important layers that include the capillary endothelial cell layer, then basement membrane, and third one, it is the epithelial cell layer, that is called as the podocytes. Okay, so these are the three important layers in this glomerular filtration membrane. So this figure will explain the glomerular filtration membrane very easily. So here this is the renal corpuscle that include the glomerulus here, okay, capillary network, and here it is the Bowman's capsule that includes the Bowman's space here, and this is a visceral layer, and this is the parietal layer of the Bowman's capsule. Okay. So now first it is the capillary endothelial cell layer in the filtration membrane. So you can look at this is the capillary network, and that is bounded by the endothelial cell layer. Okay, that is the first layer. And then the podocytes, second important layer is the podocytes. So that podocyte, it is basically nothing but the epithelial cells of this visceral layer of this Bowman's capsule. So this epithelial cell layer, that is known as a food process of the podocyte, that is the second important layer in the filtration membrane. And in between these two, capillary and podocyte, there is a basement membrane. So here it will be the basement membrane. Okay. So this is the more enlarged part of the cross section of this region that is showing the filtration membrane. So first it is the capillary, this is the lumen of the capillary, and this is the endothelial cell layer of the capillary. So you can see these are the endothelial cells. In between these cells there are a big pores that are known as a fenestrations or a filtration. Okay. So this space between the endothelial cell, it may be 50 to 100 nanometer, so through which many of the substance can pass. And second important thing about this capillary endothelial cell layer is that it is also containing certain proteins that are negatively charged, and that are basically glycoproteins. Okay. So this is the endothelial cell layer. Then the visceral cell layer, that is known as the food process of podocytes. So these are the podocytes. Basically they are epithelial cells of the visceral layer of the Bowman's capsule. Okay. So these podocytes, they are present nearby one another, and there is a narrow slit in between the podocytes or these epithelial cells. So these are known as a filtration slit, and these slits or these pores, they are basically covered by a diaphragm that is known as a slit diaphragm, and this diaphragm contains the minor pores that may allow the substance that are having very less molecular size that can pass. So these are the slits that contains the various pores, and in between these two layers, endothelial and the podocytes, the important layer, that is the basement membrane. So this is also known as a glomerular basement membrane, that is basically a matrix of the collagens, that is made up of the matrix of the collagen, and also it contains various types of the negatively charged proteins, mainly in the form of the glycoproteins containing the sialic acid. So this is the basement membrane, and there are basically no visible pores, but this membrane can allow the substance whose size is around 6 to 8 nanometer can pass through here. So here though there are no pores, but the size of pores is as near to that of the 8 nanometer. And the important characteristic of these two layers, endothelial cell layer and basement membrane, is that they are containing the glycoproteins that are negatively charged. So the substance that are present in the plasma and they are negatively charged, that will find difficult to pass through this membrane, because the anionic particles within the plasma, they will repel with the negatively charged protein present over both this layer. So clear? So these are the three important layers in the glomerular filtration membrane through which the plasma will get filtered and finally pour here. So this is the same figure that is showing the filtration membrane. So this is the lumen of the capillary that contains the plasma and the blood, and here are the endothelial cells that are having a large pores in between, okay, but these are negatively charged. Then the glomerular basement membrane, the matrix of the collagen and the negatively charged proteins, and then this is the podocytes or epithelial cells that are containing the filtration slit that are covered by the slit diaphragm, and they are containing the narrow pores here. So the plasma from here will be filtered through this layer and finally poured here into glomerular space. Then coming to the certain important characteristic of the filtration membrane, that includes the permeability. So you know most of the membrane, they are selectively permeable. So here also this filtration membrane is highly permeable to certain substance and selectively permeable to certain another substance. So this membrane is highly permeable to the water and the 100% dissolved substance because of its porous nature. So the water and the water soluble substance can easily pass through this membrane. Okay. But other substances are having a selective permeability. So of which the one important characteristic is that the pore size. So molecules with the less than 4 nanometer size are freely filtered through this glomerular membrane, but the molecules with size more than 8 nanometer are not filtered at all. So as I have told, the endothelial cell, it is having a pore size of 52 nanometer. So वहाँ से बहुत सारे substance pass हो जाएंगे, लेकिन when coming to the basement membrane, it is having a very narrow pores that can allow the substance which are having a diameter of less than 8 nanometer that can pass, otherwise not. And similarly the podocytes that are having a very narrow pore. So any substance with less than 4 nanometer can easily pass through the membrane, but more than 8 nanometer will not pass through the membrane, irrespective of their characteristic. And the substance which are having a molecular size between 4 to 8 nanometer, okay, so they will pass depending on their characteristic, and their filtration is inversely proportional. Okay. So here let us see, suppose that this substance is having a size of 6 nanometer, and that substance is the anionic particle, then it will find difficult to pass because they will repel with the negative charge protein over the basement membrane. But with a similar molecular size 6 nanometer, if the substance is a cationic, positively charged, then it will be easily passed. So clear? So this regarding the pore size. Then shape. As far as the shape is concerned, the substance which are of globular shape, they will pass difficult to pass through the membrane. But with the same molecular size, molecular weight in any substance which is elongated, then it can pass through the glomerular basement membrane. Okay. Then third one is the electrical charge. So the neutral and the cationic particles are more permeable than the anionic particles. As for example, with a similar molecular weight, any anionic particle will find difficult to pass through the membrane, but with a similar molecular weight, any cationic particle can easily pass. That is again because of the presence of a negatively charged protein over the filtration membrane. क्योंकि बेसमेंट मेम्ब्रेन और एंडोथेलियल सेल पे नेगेटिव चार्ज प्रोटीन्स है, so they will repel with the anionic particle but not with the cationic. So with the same molecular weight, cationic can pass easily but anionic will not pass easily. So this is the same thing that is showing the effect of electrical charge for its filtration through the membrane. So you can look at this figure. This is the molecular diameter and this is the fractional clearance or filtration. So here is the anion, negative charge particle, here is the positively, and here are the neutral ions. So just you can compare here, the anionics has a very less filtration rate than the cationics. So you can, as for example, suppose the substance is 6 nanometer, the anionics particles will not allow to pass, but the cationics particle, even though they are 6 nanometer, they can pass through the filtration membrane. So this is the effect of a electrical charge for the filtration membrane. Then coming to the composition of the glomerular filtrate. So what the glomerular filtrate contain? Plasma जो filter होके tubules में पहुंचेगा, उसका composition क्या होगा? So it is almost like that of the plasma except for the absence of the proteins and the absence of the various blood cells. Okay? So blood जो filter होता है, उसका composition जब वो glomerular tubules में पहुंचेगा, at that time the composition is almost like that of the plasma. Plasma जैसा ही होगा, लेकिन plasma proteins उसमें नहीं होंगे और blood cells नहीं होंगे. Otherwise it is same as that of the plasma. Okay. So normally proteins are absent. Albumin, globulin, you know the various plasma proteins. They will not filter through this membrane because they are negatively charged. And as I have told, the glomerular filtration membrane contains the glycoproteins which are negative charge, so they will repel with that negative charge proteins. So proteins will not be allowed to pass through the membrane. And normally the amount of proteins in urine is less than 100 milligram per day. So even though proteins are not allowed to pass, but the urine may contain the protein concentration with less than 100 milligram per day. And that proteins that may be seen in the urine normally, that are not the plasma protein, but they are coming from the shedded tubular epithelial cells. Okay, so plasma proteins, they are normally absent in the urine. But in certain disease condition, whenever there is disease of glomerular membrane or a kidney disease, the permeability of the filtration membrane will be altered. And in that case, the plasma proteins can also get filtered through the membrane and they are seen in the urine, mainly the albumin. Okay, that can be found in the urine in certain kidney disease. And coming to the normal GFR, that is normally 125 ml per minute in the healthy adult person. So this is very important value you must know. So normal glomerular filtration rate in a healthy adult person, it is 125 ml per minute with a range of 90 to 140 ml per minute. And in the woman, the GFR is 10% less than those in the men. Then in a 24-hour, approximately 180 liters of the plasma, it is getting filtered at the glomerulus. And out of that 180 liter per day of a plasma filtered, more than 99%, it will be again get reabsorbed from the different part of the renal tubules, and only the less than 1% it will be excreted as a urine. After the age of 30 years, the GFR declines. So glomerular filtration rate, it will decrease as the age advances. Then certain dynamics of the glomerular filtration. So here are the certain forces that will determine the ultrafiltration of the plasma across the glomerular membrane. So GFR depends upon the balance of Starling forces. So these are the forces that will ultimately determine the GFR. And according to the Starling hypothesis, the GFR, it will be given by this formula. Kf PGC minus PBS minus pi GC minus pi BS. So these are the various Starling's forces that will determine the GFR, and these forces that are present across the glomerular membrane. So now let us see over this figure that is showing the renal corpuscle. So here it is the efferent arterioles, and here are the glomerulus, network of the capillary glomerular network, then efferent arterioles, and here is the Bowman's space, and here will be the glomerular membrane. So plasma here or blood here, it will be filtered through this membrane and poured finally into the renal Bowman's space here. So here the various important force. So broadly there are two types of the forces that will determine the GFR. So one are the forces that are favoring the filtration, and other are the forces that are opposing the filtration. So here this is the force that will favor the filtration, while here are the forces that are opposing the filtration. Okay. So the two important forces that are working here are the hydrostatic pressure, and second is the oncotic pressure. So the hydrostatic pressure at the glomerulus, that will favor the filtration. So hydrostatic pressure, basically it will push the things on the opposite side. So here the hydrostatic pressure in the glomerulus, it is around 60 millimeter of the mercury. Okay. And on the other hand, the oncotic pressure present here, that is because of the presence of the plasma proteins. So that oncotic pressure, it will pull the things from the opposite side. So it is basically opposing the filtration. And here the oncotic pressure of this glomerulus is 32 millimeter of the mercury. Okay. And the forces over the Bowman space, where the hydrostatic pressure, it is around 80 millimeter of the mercury, that will push the things from a Bowman space into the glomerulus. So that is again opposing the filtration. While the oncotic pressure of the Bowman space, it is basically nil, zero, because here there are no plasma proteins. So in absence of the plasma proteins or a collage, the oncotic pressure will be zero. Okay. So if you see the favoring forces, that is a 60 millimeter mercury, and the opposing forces that are a 32 plus 18. So 60 millimeter mercury forces, that is favoring the filtration, while 32 plus 18, that is 40 or 50 millimeter of the mercury, that is opposing the filtration. So see difference between this favoring force and this opposing force, that this will come to a 10 millimeter of the mercury. Okay. So as per the formula, you will get this value. So Kf, normally this Kf is a filtration coefficient that is depending upon the state of the glomerular membrane. Okay. So normal Kf in the healthy adult person is 12.5, and the difference that we got here, opposing and favoring force, it will be 10. So 12.5 multiplied by 10, it will give a 125, and that will be expressed as a 125 ml per minute. So this is a normal filtration through the glomerular. So clear? So this is the normal GFR, and how you can get that value, that will depend on these Starling's forces that are present across this glomerular membrane at this renal corpuscle. Okay. Then certain factors that are affecting the GFR, that we will look briefly. So one of the filtration coefficient, that is the product of the permeability and the filtration area of the glomerular capillary membrane. So filtration coefficient, basically it will depend on the permeability of that particular substance and the status of the glomerular filtration membrane, its thickness, its surface area, like that. Second important factor is various hydrostatic pressure, that include the glomerular capillary hydrostatic pressure. So hydrostatic pressure जितना ज़्यादा होगा उतना ही filtration ज़्यादा होगा. Okay. So capillary में जितना hydrostatic pressure ज़्यादा है उतना ही filtration will be more. So at the efferent arterial end, the filtration will be more because hydrostatic pressure is more there. Then hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman space fluid. So this pressure, it will oppose the filtration. So जितना hydrostatic pressure Bowman space में ज़्यादा होगा उतना ही filtration will be opposed. Okay. Then glomerular capillary oncotic pressure. So this oncotic pressure basically depends on the proteins or plasma proteins. So it is higher at the efferent arterial end of this glomerulus. So where it is again opposing the filtration and favoring its reabsorption from the Bowman space. Then sympathetic stimulation. So whenever there is a stress or exercise, the sympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the decreased GFR, because the sympathetic stimulation will release the epinephrine and norepinephrine, and that are basically vasoconstrictor. So they will constrict the efferent as well as the efferent arteriole. By that they will decrease the GFR. And the state of glomerular membrane. So thickness, then surface area, then the state of the messenger cells within the glomerular membrane, they will again determine the GFR. So these are the important factors that will affect the glomerular filtration rate. Then in brief about the measurement of GFR. So in detail about how to measure the GFR, that we will discuss with the renal function test later on. but here we will briefly look into the measurement of the GFR. So normally the GFR is basically determined by the renal clearance of certain substance. The important substances that are used to measure the GFR include the inulin, urea, and the creatinine. So inulin is the dye that is injected from the outside, while the urea and the creatinine that are the product of the metabolism that are present within the body. So this renal clearance, it is the volume of a plasma that is cleared of substance in a 1 minute by the excretion of that substance in the urine. So there is a renal clearance, and it can be given by the formula C is equal to UV upon P, where C it is the clearance rate of that particular substance that will determine the GFR, U that is the concentration of a substance in the urine, and V that is the rate of the urine flow rate, and P it is the plasma concentration of a substance. So normally the inulin it is used to measure the GFR. It is a more specific, while these are less specific, but these are more convenient because urea और creatinine में आपको कुछ अलग से inject नहीं करना है, while inulin is a dye that has to be injected outside. So after injecting this dye, after some time you have to measure the concentration of that dye in the urine and also in the plasma, and you also look for the rate of the urine flow. So depending on that you will get the clearance rate, and that will give you the GFR. Then coming to the regulation of the GFR. So normally the regulation of GFR is almost same as that of the regulation of renal blood flow, that already we have discussed previously with the renal blood flow regulation. So like that, the regulation of renal blood flow, GFR regulation also include the basic mechanism that include the neural mechanism, hormonal mechanism, autoregulatory mechanism that include the myogenic and the tubular glomerular feedback mechanism, and certain other factors that affect the GFR that include the protein intake and the blood glucose. So just we will briefly look all these things. So first the neural mechanism, nervous mechanism of the regulation of the GFR. So whenever there is a decrease in the blood volume in the renal vessels, so that will cause the sympathetic stimulation, increase renal sympathetic activity, and you know the sympathetic stimulation, it will lead to release of the epinephrine, norepinephrine that are a vasoconstrictor. So that will cause the afferent arterial constriction at the glomerulus, so that will decrease the blood flow to the glomerulus, and simultaneously it will also decrease the GFR. So this is the neural mechanism. Then the hormonal control. So you know there are various types of the hormone in the form of the vasoconstrictor and the vasodilator that will affect the GFR. So first the hormones that will decrease the GFR, of which one is the angiotensin 2. So normally it will decrease the GFR, but its role, it is a dual. Initially the angiotensin 2, it may prevent decrease in the GFR. So normally the angiotensin 2 is if it is a vasoconstrictor, but predominantly it is having a vasoconstrictor effect over the efferent arterioles initially. So efferent arterial constriction will not affect the GFR. So in the low dose, initially the angiotensin 2 by constricting the efferent arterioles, it will help to prevent decrease in the GFR, or it will rather increase the GFR. But later on, once it will also constrict the efferent arterioles, the angiotensin 2 will decrease the GFR. So clear? Then the histamine. Though the histamine is not having direct effect over the vessels, but it will decrease the GFR by causing the contraction of the mesangial cells that are extraglomerular mesangial cells. Then the endothelin is again a vasoconstrictor that is having constrictor effect over both the efferent and the efferent arteriole, so it will decrease the GFR. Then norepinephrine, that is again a vasoconstrictor mainly over the efferent arterioles, that will again decrease the GFR by causing the efferent arterial constriction. And then certain hormones that will increase the GFR, of which many are the vasodilators, by which action they will increase the GFR, that include the dopamine, then atrial natriuretic peptide, then nitric oxide, and bradykinin. So these all are the vasodilators by which they will increase the GFR. Okay. Then the prostaglandins, they will increase the GFR. Basically they are increasing GFR by increasing the renal blood flow, by decreasing a vasoconstrictor effect of the catecholamines and the angiotensin 2, and also the prostaglandin will relax the mesangial cells, so that will again help to increase the GFR. So these are the hormones that will regulate the GFR. Then the most important is the autoregulatory mechanism. So the auto-regulation of the GFR maintain a constant rate of the glomerular filtration despite change in the systemic arterial pressure within the range of 80 to 180 millimeter of the mercury. So within this fluctuation, this range of the fluctuation, the auto-regulatory mechanism will regulate the GFR as well as the blood flow. But outside this range, it will be not effective. So this includes the two important mechanisms. One is the myogenic theory and second is the tubuloglomerular feedback mechanism. Both the things we have discussed previously also. Just we will revise here. So myogenic mechanism, how it will affect the this GFR renal blood flow. So whenever there is increased pressure in the blood vessels because of the increased blood volume, so increased pressure, it will cause the stretching of the vessel wall. So that will cause the opening of the cationic channels, mainly the calcium ion channel. So increased influx of the calcium into the cell, it will lead to the depolarization. And you know, the increased intracellular calcium that is causing the depolarization, it will ultimately cause the vasoconstriction, contraction of that particular smooth muscle. So here it will cause the constriction of the blood vessels. Okay? And by that it will decrease the renal blood flow. The second important autoregulatory mechanism of the GFR is the tubuloglomerular feedback mechanism. So here the tubular fluids, while reaching to the distal renal tubules, it will be sensed by the macula densa cell and it will give the feedback to the glomerulus and it will help to maintain the GFR. So the first flowchart shows whenever there is decrease in the renal artery pressure, that will decrease the GFR. So that will lead to decrease in the sodium chloride concentration in renal tubules. And by the time this tubular fluid reaches the macula densa cell, that means at the juxtaglomerular apparatus, they will again decrease. And this decreased sodium chloride concentration will sensed by the macula densa cell of the GA. That will, via the feedback mechanism, it will stimulate the release of the vasodilators that are basically affecting the efferent arterioles. In the dilatation of the efferent arterioles, it will increase the GFR. So in this way, this macula densa cell sensor, it will help to maintain the GFR. And on the other side, whenever there is increase in the renal arterial pressure, which is causing increased GFR, so that will lead to increased sodium chloride concentration in renal tubular fluid. That will be sensed by the macula densa cell. And here, increased sodium chloride concentration, the macula densa cell will, via feedback effect, will release the vasoconstrictors, okay, and that are affecting the efferent arterioles mainly. So the constriction of the efferent arterioles, it will lead to decrease in the GFR. So in this way, this tubuloglomerular feedback mechanism will help to maintain the GFR. So these are the important renal regulatory mechanism that will regulate the GFR. And in addition to that, there is another things that will regulate the GFR. It is the high protein diet and the glucose diet. So whenever you are having a high protein diet or a high glucose diet, then they will increase the GFR by increasing the reabsorption of sodium from the proximal tubule and decreasing the sodium at the macula densa. So you are clear about this topic. Thank you.